This is a brand new day, brand new month, a brand new year, and series of ideas, of thoughts that I've been working on for a while, gestating. And it's always a process. It's around the issue of change, personal transformation, which I see as the ultimate quest. And the reality is, however, that it's never too late to become your greatest self. Never too late. So I think I want to start today by sharing some thoughts along this path of personal transformation, the ultimate quest. It will be in at least 12 parts. So each day I will take you one step further in. And as I say, this is a process for me. This is a work in progress. And later on this year, the book will come out dealing with this whole issue of personal transformation. And should I say, transformation in general, because we're talking about this thing called change. But before, let's today we deal with the prelude to transformation, the things that come ahead, so we can get it to happen. Now, first of all, let me tell you about what about me, who I am. All right, I am a quantum transformational psychologist. What does that mean? I combine a number of areas. I'm trained as a psychologist, so the whole behavioral and mental processes. That's what my PhD, postdoctorate, and teaching and research has covered that area quite well. But then I've had to equip myself in the areas of quantum physics because we know that the universe is consists of energy and information. We also draw on the area of neuroscience because the brain is absolutely critical because that is where the whole process of mind and consciousness reside. So we straddle these three areas in order to have a better understanding how we deal with the issues of personal transformation, the ultimate quest. We start with the question: who wants change? All hands go up. People don't want things to be static. People want things to change. Yes, we say we want change. January 1, New Year's resolutions get made. Host of resolutions get made. The only thing is futile. The vast majority of them will be abandoned well before you get into the second month of the year. We say we want change, but words, we're talking. If we add a preposition to this question, all right, who wants to change? All hands go down because it is not something that people willingly submit to, wanting to change. All right, let's push the envelope a little further. And we ask the question: who wants to lead the change? Because here is where the rubber hits the road. Whether it is a business, whether it's a community, whether it's a country, who wants to go in front and lead to make sure the change occurs? The room is now empty. So you see how hard the process of change, especially personal transformation. Why is this? People are complex, to say the least. Trying to change people's behavior come with some serious complications. There are some problems. The first mistake is to assume that people are rational. No, people are not rational, at least not the primary mode of being. Two, our second mistake is to assume that people are eager for change. The evidence is clear. People are not eager for change. And three, the third mistake we make is assuming that once someone knows things the way you know them, they will choose what you chose. Absolutely not true. So herein lies the rub. Herein lies the problem as we set about trying to transform. Now, one interesting thing that Seth Godin has pointed out is that there's this little thing called habits. There are habits And a lot of habits are clustered around all the things we do. He says that there are millions of habits out there, some good, some bad. But guess what? All the habits that we have are learned. Every habit your family, your organization has was formed because people got rewarded for it, at least in the short run. Now, the wonderful thing he adds is that every habit is changeable with effort. So that's the good news. Even the habits that you are struggling with, that you have said, boy, this year I'm going to be better, I'm going to be different, it's changeable. But it's a little problem. It doesn't just happen by itself. Habit is a hard thing to lose. If you take away the H, you still have a bit. That's a small amount. All right. You take away the A and you still have bit. You still have some to contend with. Take away the B and you still have it. There's still something to contend with. Yes, the habit, hard thing to lose. But it must be done because without it, people just become static. And here's where the dilemma comes in. Change is hard at first, messy in the middle, but guess what? Glorious in the end. My partner, Dr. Sandra Palmer, has pointed out only a wet baby welcomes change. But outside of that, we would rather sleep through it. But what's the alternative? An interesting play on words says the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So says Einstein. What does that say about us as a people? Most are not willing to change. But interestingly, in the midst of change, we often discover wings we never knew we had. But the problem is to get the change started. That's why I feel it's necessary for me to do this. Personal transformation, the ultimate quest. We have to make sure that we can assist people with doing this process. So this is the goal this year. What if somebody presented you with the notion, change or die? Change or die. All leadership comes down to this, changing people's behavior. Oftentimes changing your own behavior. But why is this so hard? Change or die. Guess what? Most people would end up choosing or not choosing to be dead. To absolutely die. Because changing is so complicated. It's so. You don't believe me? Well, guess what? The scientific studies have presented the odds at really 9-1. 9-1 against people changing. I bet you didn't know that, huh? 9-1. Now, how do we come up with this? Well, listen to this now. For the last 50 years, we have observed that approximately 80% of healthcare budget is consumed by 5 behavioral issues. Too much smoking, too much drinking, too much eating, too much stress, and not enough exercise. This is fairly consistent. This has been what the data has been showing us. As a result, cardiovascular diseases. The United States has good data. More than 868,000 Americans die of heart disease and stroke each year. We're talking about 1/3 of all deaths. The cost of this to the healthcare system, over $200 billion per year. The cost of lost productivity on the job, over $138 billion. So heart disease, cardiovascular problems, costly. We need to do something about it. But guess what? People go to the doctor with a heart attack. The doctor patches them up. They are treated, whatever it is. All right, a bypass. The bypass are clogged up again within a few years. sometimes the angioplasties, that in a few months have to be redone. Because why? People did not change their behavior. Hmm? 2 years after coronary artery bypass operation, 90% of persons who have undergone this condition have not changed their behavior. That's how come we get the odds of 9 to 1 against change. Now, you don't want something more graphic than this. You go into the hospital in a wheelchair, hmm? Emergency response. You're patched up and you're told, change your lifestyle, change the person you are, transform the person you are to save your life. And what happens? Within 2 years, you're back in the hospital again or you're dead. 90% of persons do not change their behavior. That's how hard this is. So that's why I believe that this is a quest that we really need to pursue. Changing people's behavior isn't just the biggest challenge in healthcare, it's the most important challenge for all business, especially in these turbulent times. We're now coming to hopefully the end of COVID-19, but even to make the adjustment going in and the adjustments coming out, it's not happening. And for most people, it will not happen fast enough. Many organizations now need brand new business strategies, for continual mental rejuvenation, for learning new ways of doing things. Change, absolutely necessary. The central issue is not about just the strategy, nor is it about structure, nor is it about culture or system. The core of the matter is always about changing people's behavior. Changing people's behavior. This is the hard one. That's where persons like myself come in. You're called upon to respond to upheavals in the marketplace. You're called to respond to shift from a regulated to a deregulated environment. You're trying to enter into new business. You're trying to have a corporate reorganization or a merger. Behavior has to change. Individuals have to change. It gets harder and harder. Managers are supposed to be the prime change agent in their companies, but they are often just as resistant to change as anyone else and as prone to backsliding. So the managers who are to lead the change oftentimes not able. But guess what? Like everyone else, leaders are just as nervous about learning new skills, taking on new behavior, new working relationships. But guess what? Unlike everyone else, leaders have to go first. So they have to demonstrate the change. And on another lecture, I'll explain to you that change really can't be managed. Yeah? It has to be led. Somebody has to go in front and lead it. That's why Darwin has told us that it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. That word again. So how are you doing? How are you doing? Have you become change adaptive? Are you one of those people who are good at it? So when I talk about transformation, what am I talking about? A transformation is not a series of incremental changes. Rather, it's a fundamental reboot that enables individuals to achieve a dramatic, sustainable improvement in the quality of life, and as a result, alter the trajectory of their future. Quantum transformation. That's what we offer. And that's what this series of lectures has been about, and what this book will be about. That's why I'm exposing you to this too, sharing this information with you. Well, what's the source of my inspiration? I would say over the last 10, 15 years, Dr. Wayne Dyer, his work has been seminal. Dr. Deepak Chopra, and also Dr. Joe Dispenza. Both persons who combine, should we say, traditional scientific methods, but strongly imbued with the spiritual side. And we're able to get into a lot more processes to work. Now, what does this enable us to do? Let me share some guiding thoughts with you. By the time you're in your mid 30s, your identity and personality is largely consolidated. By then, you have memorized a select few of behaviors and attitudes and beliefs and emotional reactions and habits and skills and associated memories and conditioned responses and perceptions that are now subconsciously programmed within you. These programs are running us because the body has become the mind. The body has become the mind. This means that we will think the same thoughts, feel the same feelings, react in identical the same way, day after day after day. It's as if we're on autopilot, running on autopilot. What does it say? The data suggests that 80% of what you do on a daily basis by age 35 is based on habit. 65% of the thoughts that go through your mind each day are the same thoughts that went through your mind yesterday and the day before and the day before. Hence, the resistance to change and the reason we say personal transformation, the ultimate quest, is so hard and must be tackled. Sometimes it's even worse. Some believe it's up to 95% of who you are by midlife is a series of subconscious programs that have become automatic in almost all your actions. This program has a built-in downside. It always has the potential to undermine your effectiveness unless you identify them and transform them. We are part of a vast, invisible field of energy which contains all possible realities and responds to our thoughts and our feelings. In subsequent lectures, I'll remind you that, folks, the trillions of cells in your bodies are constantly eavesdropping on your thoughts and your emotions so that things are being monitored in order to keep them alive or to keep them the same. Meditation is a means for us to move beyond our analytical mind so we can access our subconscious mind. This is where our bad habits and behaviors we want to change reside. Meditation is what opens the door between the conscious and the subconscious. We meditate to enter the operating system of the subconscious, and we can change them to more productive modes to support us in our lives. That's indeed possible. And we will show you how we can draw on these things. If we want a new outcome, we will have to break the habit of being ourselves, the habit of the kind of person you have become, and reinvent a new self. We call this You 2.0. The latest research supports the notion that we have a natural ability to change the brain and to change the body by thought alone. Because you can make thought more real than anything else, you can change who you are from brain cell to gene once you have the right understanding. And here is where we are taking you on this quest, the ultimate quest, personal transformation. As we say, change is hard at first, messy in the middle, but glorious in the end. The reality, only a wet baby welcomes change, but it has to be done. The maths of change is very simple. When the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change, change happens. So you see, for many people, the pain isn't great enough as yet. The pain is not great enough. The maths tells us that when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain, change happens. We also know that there's a physics that governs life. Life comes at you more often as a series of sine waves. sine waves going up and down and up and down. Your challenge is to convert these sine waves into positive linear functions so that it will continue up and down. But guess what? The up will get higher, the down will not get as low. But life is always up and down, up and down. Anything other than this, we call what? Flatline. Life is a series of sine waves. So we are called upon to transform, to change them. So, becoming the best you, and I say the greatest you, one day at a time, it can be done. Any resolutions that involve making decisions about future behavior is a waste of time. It also reinforces a self-defeating notion of living in the future. You can't. Would you rather live in the present moment? In fact, like it or not, the only time and space that we can live in is now. What you do in the present moment, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, is all that you have some semblance of control over. This day that you're living right now is the only day you get, period. We can't guarantee you anymore. You can resolve to be skinny when July rolls around, or to quit smoking next month, or to write that book you've been meaning to write, or to embark on your overdue exercise program by the end of this year. You can go about resolving until the cows come home, and you still have to live your life just like everyone else on the planet, one day at a time, because that's all we get. That's all we're allowed to do. You can only live minute to minute, second to second. You can certainly use up your present moments thinking about the way you'll be doing in the future. But that doesn't change the fact that you can only live now in the present. The important question to be asking yourself then, how am I going to live in the present moment going forward? Will I waste these moments reviewing the day and removing the way I used to behave? Will I waste these moments reviewing how I would like to behave in the future, rather than resolving to live each day to the fullest, being your best self? Now is a good time to initiate a plan so you can make some changes and help live your life to the fullest. See if you can practice thinking differently. As we said, becoming the best version of yourself, or even the greatest version of yourself. You can decide specifically what it is that you would like to change about yourself based on your report. Vow to work with them day by day rather than making them a year-long project. So each day you get to work at something. When you set up day-to-day goals for yourself, you can begin living this way for the rest of your life. Remember this piece of little advice, which will be extremely helpful to you if you can incorporate it into your life. When you go for one entire day without eating sugar, or not smoking, or not being assertive, or any other new behavior, you're a totally different person at the end of that day. So the things that you're setting out to do, you must do them one day at a time. What you must learn to do is to let that totally different person decide on the second day whether to do it again on this new day, rather than letting the same old person decide today that it's going to be different in a couple of days anyway. What's the use? So you understand that you get to do this one day at a time. Always let the new you make the decision, and then you'll be living your present moments. Remember, you're in control of all thoughts in your head. When you're using up your present moments to worry about the future, constantly reviewing the past to come up and how you should have done it differently, or contemplating disaster, remind yourself that you're wasting this particular present moment. Worrying solves no problems, none whatsoever. You will learn to practice canceling out negative thoughts for a few minutes at a time. You will learn to vow to enjoy the next 5 minutes regardless of what has previously transpired or what you think is about to happen. Remind yourself of the folly of wasting your present moment on mental activity that focus exclusively on your past or the imagined future. All of your thoughts about what you should have done or how terrible things were in the past will not change one tiny slice of the past. The past gone, done. So worrying about them changes nothing. So as you celebrate this new you and each precious moment, here are 7 reminders to help you live in the now. 1. Remember that habits are changed by practicing new behaviors. By practicing new thinking every 5 minutes, you'll soon begin to master the art of present moment living. 2. Do an honest assessment of your problems. You'll very likely discover that almost all of your problems are really where? In your head and not anywhere else. Not in anybody else's, huh? In your head, nowhere else. That's where your problems exist. 3. Take time to be mindful of everything around you. Begin to look at your entire surroundings in a new light. Observe every detail on every face, every building, every object. If you do this often enough, you'll become a habit that will facilitate your being alive in every moment. 4. Change your attitude. Begin an attitude redevelopment plan. This requires practice. What attitude will you select each day, each moment, with each activity? 5. Be specific about what you want and take action. Decide on one thing that you would like to work on and do it today. Work at it today rather than make it a long-range objective. Pick one thing and work on it today. 6. Create a self-improvement agenda for yourself. Put on your agenda whatever activities you've always thought about but never had time to do so. But guess what? Do them now, not sometime in the future. 7. Feel good about yourself. You are a magnificent human being. Always feel good about that self you always want to be. I have for many other years vowed to be fully alive and see the world the way Walt Whitman described it to be many years ago, so that we're not worrying about the world anymore. The idea is to make it be the best place and the best thing you can do. To me, every cubic inch of space is a miracle. I really believe that the world is a miracle. So, I wish you a new you filled with many miracles. May you live a long and productive life, one present day moment at a time. We edited this from some admonitions presented by Dr. Wayne Dyer back in December 2014 and updated some of it in terms of where we'd like to go to take you all. It is says that the human spirit is extremely resilient. Jamaican proverbs say, when trouble take you, pick the shot fit you. Yes, we can do it. We're also told that in dark times, the eye begins to see. Your focus becomes clearer. the darker the night becomes, clearer. We also know that old ways won't open new doors. So as you start thinking about your personal transformation, it's time for new thinking. New thinking. This is a new year. This is a new month. This is a new day. Perfect time to start focusing on new thinking for your personal transformation. The quest, because we say that it is never too late to become your greatest self. Why not now? The best is yet to come. I always look forward to tomorrow. This could just be the day when I get a chance and the greatest moment occurs and the most profitable idea. So you make use of, okay, what next? What next? Are you ready? Are you ready? Now, tomorrow we'll talk about the path to becoming your greatest self. We have presented a preamble and the background that we're going and the reason why we're trying to do this. So tomorrow we continue this process with the path to becoming your greatest self. As we say, it is never too late to become your greatest self. And personal transformation is indeed the ultimate quest. So for the next 12 days, we will present 12 lectures to get you through this process to becoming your greatest self, because personal transformation is indeed the ultimate quest. And why not do it now? Why not do it now? Dr. Semaj here, quantum transformation psychologist, helping you to get ready for this 2022 to be the best version of yourself.